Okay, we'll start with the prayers all together. Om Sadashiva Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharyaparryantam Vande Paramparam Saraswati Namastuभ्यं Vade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhirbhavatu me sada Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sah Veeryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Shanti 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 Vasudevendra Yogi Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidhiyate. Okay, so last class we finished Vyashti Vicharaha, the analysis of the individual or the microcosm, and we had started with Samashti Vicharaha, the analysis of the macrocosm or the universe. Okay, and last time we also saw what is Atma, and we understood the meaning of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. We said it is consciousness principle, existence principle, and finally the limitless principle. This Ananda, please remember carefully that it is not bliss, just just bliss as an emotion. It is that Ananda which is associated with Purnatvam, the limitlessness. So, completeness, wholeness, limitlessness always expresses as happiness. Okay, there is nothing more to do, there is nothing more to acquire, and so it expresses as total contentment, total satisfaction. And that is what we refer to as Ananda. It is not just a fleeting happiness. So we saw Sat, Chit, and Ananda, and we had then moved on to Samashti Vicharaha, and we had seen this verse also. Atha Chaturvimshati Tattvopatti Prakaram Vakshyamaha. The author says, now I will explain to you about the generation or the birth of 24 different tattvams, 24 basic principles. And what are those 24? We have yet to see them. We will see them a little bit later. And then we were looking at this verse. Okay. Brahmashraya Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika Maya Asti. So we read this last time. So now we will start with the topic of creation. Creation of the universe, totality. So till now everything that we discussed pertained to the individual, the microcosm. And now we are going to talk at the totality level. Okay, about the universal level, about creation itself. So we had seen the word Brahman, and we understood that Brahman and Atman are actually the same thing. Brahman and Atman are two different names for the same entity, just from two different perspectives. So when we say Brahman, it is actually Atman. That same consciousness principle is Brahman. Now, another point to remember here is that this Brahman is not to be confused with Brahma. Okay, Brahma is one of the trinities. The Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, that is totally different from this Brahman. Okay, so whenever we are talking about that Brahma, the one of the Holy Trinity, we will call him Brahmaji to avoid confusion. Okay, if we are referring to him, it is Brahmaji. Okay, with respect. Now, this Brahman, whenever we say Brahman, it refers to this consciousness principle. Okay, so now we just started the creation topic last class. Now we will take it forward. We said that before creation, there were two factors. And what are those two factors? And also why? Why must there be two factors? Which are the two factors that exist before the creation of the universe?
Brahman and Maya.
Okay, Brahman and Maya. Now, why do you think Brahman must be there before creation, after destruction, everything?
Because it is the very existence principle. It is the intrinsic nature of Brahman to be there.
Yes, very good. So, because Trikale api tishtati, from the Sat. Okay, when the student had asked Sat Kim, the teacher had answered Trikale api tishtati. It is existent in all the three time frames, past, present, and future. So Brahman must be there. There is never non-existence for Brahman. It is always there, eternally. And interestingly, when the destruction happens, so when the pralayam happens, the concept of time itself does not exist. What we call time is a construct of this manifest universe. Time only exists when the universe is available, right? Otherwise, what even is time otherwise, right? So it is beyond time. Not only is it present in the past, present and future, it is also beyond time. As human beings, for the human mind, we require a frame of reference. That is why we say past, present, and future. But really speaking, this Brahman is beyond time itself. It transcends time and space also. Okay, so that is why Brahman is always there. Sat principle, right? Trikale api tishtati. And what was the second factor that has to be there?
Maya.
Maya. Now, why must Maya be there?
Because that is the Nama Rupa. It is the manifestation.
Okay.
Energy.
Not
Because
inertia. Not
Brahman is
The
Akarta.
potential existence.
potential existence. Okay, remember law of conservation of mass and energy. Nothing can be created and nothing can be destroyed. So it exists in a potential form. This creation, okay, it must be there all the time. It cannot come into existence from non-existence. Okay, it must be there also, all of these things, but in a different form, which we called as avyaktam. You remember the word avyaktam? What does it mean?
That which is not manifest.
Unmanifest, right? Okay, so in the unmanifest form, it continues to exist. So it is a seed form, bija rupa. Okay, so Maya also must be there before creation. So there are two things, Brahman and there is Maya. Now, let us understand this Maya and this Brahman. Let us see what roles they play in creation and also what is the relationship of them both with each other. Okay, so we have a table. On the left side we have Maya and on the right we have Brahman. Now, Maya is what we call as matter principle. And Brahman is what we call as consciousness principle. Now, when we say matter principle, remember that it includes even energy that we talk about in physics, because E is equal to mc square. The E stands for energy and M stands for matter. Matter and energy are interchangeable forms of each other. Okay, they are one thing in two different forms. So that is why E is equal to mc square. So when we say matter principle, it also includes this energy that is all around us. All the physics energy that we talk about, all the different fields and electric and magnetic and all these different things, all those concepts are very much included in this matter principle. And this matter principle is what we are calling as anatma. From the beginning, we have been using one word, anatma, that is this material or matter principle. So there must be something other than that, right? And that is consciousness principle. And this consciousness principle is not a product of matter principle. This is important to remember and understand. There are many disciplines of science, especially a group called materialists, which believe that consciousness is a product of matter. They believe that matter, this, say for example, the brain generates consciousness. This consciousness is born as a product of certain combination of matter. But Vedanta says no. This consciousness is totally independent of matter. If anything, matter depends on consciousness for its existence, but not the other way around. Okay. So this matter principle and consciousness principle, there are two things. Next, this matter principle or Maya or Anatma, it is Jada. Jada means inert. Inert means insentient. Okay. It has no consciousness of its own, sentiency of its own. Whatever sentiency that appears in the universe, it is only borrowed from this Chetana Tattvam, from this Brahman. Brahman is the only entity that is consciousness principle. And everything else borrows this consciousness from this Brahman. Okay. On its own, matter is Jada. Even the mind on its own is Jada. The mind only appears conscious because it has the capability to borrow consciousness from Brahman. Okay. For example, just like how the mirror has the capability to reflect sunlight, and then it appears as though this is a source of light by itself. No? When you look at a shining mirror, it looks as though this mirror is its own source of light. But independently, the mirror is not its own source of light. The sun is the original source. The mirror is a dull entity. It has no self light. In the same way, the mind on its own is insentient, but in contact with this Brahman, it borrows consciousness and appears as though it is a self-conscious entity. Okay, so Maya is Jada and Brahman is Chetana. Next, Maya is Anadi, beginningless. So what must Brahman be if Maya is Anadi?
This is Anadi too.
Brahman is always
Anadi.
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 Okay, so we just discussed Trikale api tishtati. It has to be there all the time. So it is definitely beginningless. Okay, so understand the word Anadi. It means without beginning. There is no time when it is born or when it dies. If something is born, it means there was a time before when it did not exist. Okay, so this Brahman, that is not the case. It is there all the time, which means that it can never have a birth at all, right? So it is Anadi. This Maya is also Anadi. It is also beginningless. Now this may seem a little confusing. On one side, we are saying Maya is Anadi. And in the last class, we said that there cannot be two infinite principles. Right? You remember Sankhya, Purusha, Prakriti? Yeah. So last time we said Sankhya, Purusha and Prakriti we spoke about. Sankhya says Purusha and Prakriti both are infinite. Both are, infinite principles. And we said that is not possible because the moment you say there are two infinite principles, it means both of them limit each other and both of them become finite. Right? There can never be two infinities because the moment you say two infinities, one infinity limits the other and both become finite. So, but now we are saying Maya and Brahman both are Anadi. Does this not seem like a contradiction? Any answers for this? How to sort out this particular conflict? Can you all hear me, first of all?
Yes.
Brahman is
Yes.
existence and Maya is potential existence.
Okay.
Both are same.
Both are not same. Both cannot be same.
No, same means they exist together. So it's not different actually.
Close, but not exactly. Getting warmer.
Brahman is Sat and Maya is Mithya.
Yes, that is the answer. Brahman is Sat and Maya is Mithya. Mithya means what? Dependently existent. Okay. It means, see, in Sankhya, they say that Purusha and Prakriti are independently infinite. Here, one entity is a dependent entity. Okay. Maya is Mithya. It is dependent on Brahman for its existence. Okay, so to help you understand this, there's an example. Suppose there's a necklace, okay, made out of gold. Now the gold is 22 carat. What do you think the necklace will be?
22 carat. 24
Will be 22 carat only. It can't be 24, it can't be 18, right? If the gold is 22 carat, then the necklace also has to be 22 carat, right? Do you understand this?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is the same kind of relationship. The necklace is dependent on the gold for its existence. Maya is dependent on Brahman for its existence. So both are Anadi. There cannot be a time when Maya came into existence or was born. Because like we discussed, there can be nothing that comes from absolute non-existence into existence. Okay. And so that is why Maya is Anadi also. Now, the next one. It is basically the same thing what we discussed. Mithya, dependent existence, and Satyam, independent existence. Okay. Now, before we go to this Triguna aspect, let us discuss one more thing. This Maya and Brahman together, they say, is the cause for creation. Okay, so when this creation happens, it is both Maya and Brahman have a role to play. Now, this in some texts you will find that Brahman is called as the father figure and Maya is called as the mother figure. Now, if Brahman is the father figure, is Brahman male or female?
Male.
Male. Okay, let me give you a hint. This is a trick question.
Again, there is no male or female. There's
Yeah, there's no physical form.
Absolutely. When you talk about Brahman, it is a formless entity. And when you talk about gender, gender is always associated with form. A formless entity cannot have a gender. So Brahman, neither Brahman nor Maya can have gender. Okay, so whenever you hear things like Maya is the mother, Brahman is the father, all these things, you have to understand that they are only symbolic in nature. They are just, symbolic representations, a figurative way of speaking. You cannot take them literally. Okay, so this is a very important point to remember, that Maya and Brahman both are beyond form, beyond all these kind of attributes. Okay, that which has no attributes, how can it have a gender? And here, remember, we're talking about Avyakta Maya, which is formless in nature. Now, the next one is Triguna, three faculties or three aspects. Maya has three gunas, which actually came in the verse, the previous verse. Brahmashraya Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika Maya Asti. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, the three gunas or the three aspects, faculties of Maya. This three gunas, each of them has a particular function or a faculty. Sattvam is called the knowledge faculty, Jnana Shakti. The faculty to know is because of Sattva. Okay, then there is Rajas. Rajas is the activity faculty, the ability to act. So we call this as Kriya Shakti. And the last one is Tamas, which is the power of inertia. We call this one as Dravya Shakti. Dravya Shakti. Okay, so Tamas, Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. The Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Dravya Shakti. The knowledge faculty, activity faculty, and then the inertial faculty, power of inertia. Dravya Shakti, the power of inertia, means that it suppresses the other two faculties. Okay, so for example, suppose there is a chair. Can the chair know anything? Is it sentient? If I talk to the chair and if I explain Vedanta to the chair, can the chair understand?
No, not at all.
No, right? The chair cannot understand at all. It cannot know. Can the chair independently move around?
No, doesn't move.
It doesn't
It is
move.
non-living, so it doesn't.
It is non-living, it doesn't move. If the chair started independently moving, then life would become like a horror movie. So the chair cannot move, it cannot know. So what is predominant in the chair?
Us.
Tamas, Dravya Shakti.
Tamas.
Tamas, right?
Only tamas.
Yes. But as human beings, we have the capability to know. We have the capability to move. So we are a mix of all the three gunas. Actually, everything is in creation is a mix of all the three gunas. It is just that one of the gunas will be predominant over the others. The others might exist in small negligible amounts. So you can say predominantly tamas. But in the human being, it is a mix, a permutation combination of all the three. Okay, so these are the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So we will not go into more details about these three because I assume most of you are already familiar with sattva, rajas, and tamas. And also it will be covered in great detail in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Triguna. Now if Maya is Triguna, Brahman is what? How many gunas does Brahman have?
Limitless.
Nirguna.
Nirguna.
Okay, it has no gunas at all, attributeless, without any attributes at all. Okay, so this is Maya and then Triguna and Brahman is Nirguna. This Triguna nature of Maya, we get to know because we can see it in creation all around us. So there is a rule in Sanskrit which says that Karana Gunaha Karye Anuvartante, means that the features of the cause will be found in the effect. If the cause has three gunas, you will find that in the effect. If the gold is 22 carat, you will find that in the necklace, because necklace is finally an effect, right, of the gold. The cause of the necklace is gold itself. So the features of the cause will be available in the product. So when we look at creation around us, we know that sattva, rajas, and tamas are there, three things, which means they must also be available in Maya, the cause. So that is
Can
the
you please
relationship.
repeat the Sanskrit statement which you just made?
Yeah. So I'll tell that. Karana means cause. Karyam means the product or the effect. So that is Karanam, Karyam. So there is a relationship between Karanam and Karyam. The statement goes like this. Karana gunaha karye anuvartante. Okay, so features of the or attributes of the cause will be found in the effect. So that is how we know that Maya is Trigunatmika. Obviously, it is not possible to go and examine Maya with a magnifying glass, no? So we have to use inference. And this is the connection for that inference. Next, Savikaraha and Nirvikaraha. Maya is of a changing nature and Brahman is changeless. When you look at creation all around you, everything is constantly changing, right? Everything is constantly, all the time changing. Your body is changing, your mind is changing, the world around is changing, the planet is itself changing, right? The universe at the astronomical level, things are changing, the planets are moving around, everything is changing. So Maya is of a savikaraha nature, changing nature, always changing, okay? And Brahman is nirvikaraha, totally changeless. It has to be totally changeless, right? If something must exist eternally, it must be nirvikaraha. The moment it changes, any change is a destruction of one thing and a creation of another thing, right? So Brahman cannot change at all because the moment it changes, it is a creation of something else. So it is without change all the time. Nirvikaraha. So at this point, there is a interesting little thought experiment that we can do. So, suppose I show you a photo of yourself when you were 5 years old. Okay, so your own photo from when you were 5 years old. and I'll take that photo and I ask you, is this you? What will you say?
Yes.
Yes, this is you at 5 years old. Now, let me, okay, now remember that you have accepted that this photo, the person in the photo is you. Now, let me ask you, suppose, what exactly is the same? Is your body the same from 5 years old to now? Is the body same?
No.
No, body is not the same, right? 5-year-old body was very different from whatever body is there now, right? And then suppose I ask you, okay, is your mind the same? The mind that you had at 5 years old and mind you have now, is it same?
No, it's changing every
No.
day.
It's
Not at
changing
all.
every moment, right? Totally different. In fact, from moment to moment, the mind changes. So it does not, you can never pinpoint and say this is the mind. In fact, you may never ever have two identical frame of mind ever, right? It is always changing. Mind is always changing. Are your emotions the same from that 5-year-old to
No.
now? No, emotions are not same. Okay. Then what about your memories? Can you say that is the same?
No.
Memories are not the same. Okay, then how can you say that this is you? Nothing is the same. Now remember, in the beginning, you accepted this is you. Nothing is the same. So how can you say it is you? Now you can't turn back the statement and say this is not me. Huh? You have already accepted.
Yeah, this is by the memory, by recall, that I can say this is me.
But you agreed that memories also have changed. No?
I
Think.
think it's when I'm existing when I'm 50. Or maybe
Sorry?
more. I think it's the existence which is true when I was 5 years old and when I'm, beyond 5 years.
That way, everything exists. Even the stone also existed when you were 5 years old. Now also it exists. Can you say you and stone are same? What about what makes you and that 5-year-old? How can you say that that is you?
I
Yeah,
when
Consciousness
it is in,
principle.
5 years old, I was like that. It is there in the memory. If you show
Yeah.
some other picture, I will not say that. So it's in the memory. If memory is lost, then we might not recognize the same
But
person.
your mother will say, no, that this is your
it
photo only
is,
at 5 years old.
we bear the same name, that's why we can say.
So if you change
It's
your
only
name, you
because of
change
the
yourself.
consciousness principle.
If coming back to the
Form has
name,
changed.
if you
The
change the
form,
name, does it mean yourself has changed?
the form has changed. Jivatma is the same.
What is Jivatma then?
The same example you had given, the space and the bottle inside the space, both are the same. The space inside the bottle is defined because of the bottle. So what we are inside and what is outside, like, it's because of the body. The body keeps on changing. What remains outside belongs to the Brahman, and that is the Atma.
That, now that I have told you, you are able to give that answer. But otherwise, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought along these lines? That what about me is actually the same, that I can say that I am the same person as that 5-year-old photo. It's an interesting question, no?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think we never realize that it is because of inner consciousness. We see the physical appearance, and by recall, because we have been seeing the photo albums and everything, we can say this was me. So it was only the physical existence we know.
Meenaji, I think it's a collection of the memories and the experiences you've had, and also the five sense organs and all the, just all these things working together, reminding you that you are this person from when you have actually have had the memory or to absorb things, like when you were 3-4 years old?
So all those things you mentioned, they make you get identified with the body. But we are saying that those very things are themselves changing. The mind is changing, memories are changing. You forget many things, you like relearn or have new memories, and you forget old memories. So you cannot depend on memory. You cannot depend on the sense organs also. You cannot depend on the mind also as being the same.
But some things are same. Your DNA, your thumbprint, signatures, some memories are there. Everything is not changed.
Everything is not changed, but nor are they the same, no?
Yes. But some
That
things are same.
that
Your
5-year-old and you have same DNA, but the body is totally different, right?
DNA is part of the body only, no?
Yeah, but the body appearance is totally different, right? The
Outside, okay, but if you see subtly, some subconscious memory, some DNA, there are so many things are still same. You are still the same gender. You have two hands. All the body parts are same.
body parts are same for everybody. Just because you and me have both two hands doesn't mean you and me are same, na?
And some body traits, some characters, some emotions are still same. Some have changed, but some are same.
But those are also subject to change, is what I'm saying. Even DNA can be altered.
Yeah, but
I think it's existence, like you
if it is
exist then
altered,
and you exist now also. It's the existence that has not changed.
Okay, let me let me point you in a different direction. Okay, you think more on this throughout the week. That is your homework. But now let me point you in a different direction. So some of you came close to the answer, but there is a more pointed way of going about this. Do you realize that in order to recognize that anything is changing, you need one point of reference that does not change at all? Do you accept this? That to identify something is changing, you need a point of reference that does not change.
Brahman?
Is the mind
That
It's
subject
consciousness.
consciousness you are. The very observer of the changes you are. That is Brahman. Then that point cannot change. If that point also changes, then there is no point of reference at all, right? So think along these lines, okay? That this subjective experiencer who observes these changes, that you are. So when you say I am consciousness principle, it is the very subject itself. It is the very I. Okay, and that is nirvikaraha, changeless. So that is the point I wanted to connect it back to. Nirvikaraha, it has to be changeless. That is how you identify that everything else is changing. The world is changing, body is changing, mind is changing, but because Brahman is that changeless point of reference, you are able to identify that everything else is changing. Okay. So that is nirvikaraha, changeless, Brahman. You can think some more on this, that thought experiment, me and the 5-year-old kid photo. What exactly is it that makes me me? And you will see after a point that it is that very consciousness itself, not even the thought, not even the thought that I am consciousness, but the very, subject, the observer, that
Vedanta,
consciousness. Yeah.
I have a question here. So this may be a little silly, but when there are people who don't remember things, or who don't, they have some kind of physiological or psychological conditions. Say some children or some people are born in a certain way where they cannot remember things. So do you think that even those people will have this awareness of them, identifying themselves with this particular, or themselves?
So one thing is that all of you must remember all the time is that even a stone has chit. Consciousness principle is available in everything. It is only the fact that it cannot reflect chit the way your mind can. Okay, so
Right.
sometimes if the Sukshma Shariram is damaged for whatever reasons, usually as a result of karmas, so some people it happens, no, the mind is not as it should be. They are not self-aware. And this self-awareness is in fact a distinguishing feature of human beings. Animals don't have this. They are not aware of themselves in that way. They can never say, I am or I know. Animals have a slightly inferior Sukshma Shariram in association with that particular body. So they reflect consciousness in a different way. And as human beings, it is, Shastra says that this human birth is the most sacred, most auspicious, most rare, most precious thing, because only in this birth is it possible for moksha. And why? Because only in this body and in this mind is self-awareness, free will, all these things possible. It is the heights of the intellect. So when you talk about all the people who do not have that faculty in its fullest form, chit is there, but it is not reflected fully.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we can move on. Now this Maya and Brahman together, they are required for creation to happen. Okay. Both are required for creation to happen. So what are the roles they play? This is an important thing to understand. So we must always remember that Brahman never acts. It never does anything. It is never an active cause for anything. So Brahman is akarta, totally actionlessness, beyond actions. And it is Maya which acts and evolves into creation. But Maya cannot exist independently. It depends on Brahman for existence. So Brahman blesses Maya with just its presence. The presence of Brahman blesses Maya, and Maya is the one that evolves into creation. This is an important relationship to understand. So Brahman cannot act at all without Maya, and Maya cannot exist at all without Brahman. And both together play different roles in creation. So to give you an example, imagine there is, imagine you are making notes. And to make notes, your hand is moving. What is something you need in order to make notes other than your body and the pen and the paper and all of that?
Mind, motive.
No, other than body, mind, all that.
Light.
Light. You require light, right? Not just for making notes, but for any action, any activity in the world, we require light, right? But can you say that light is the one that is making notes?
No.
Light cannot make notes. In fact, light cannot do anything. Suppose, there can be two totally different scenarios. One side you can have a war. Another side you can have a very, nice activity going on. Some puja is going on. Both are blessed by light. In the presence of light, both activities happen, right? But light does not participate, nor does it cause any activity. You cannot say light participates in the war or in the puja. But in the presence of light, war and puja both can go on. Right? So this is the relationship between Brahman and Maya. Brahman blesses by its presence, and Maya is the one that evolves. Maya is that changing principle that evolves from avyakta to vyakta. Okay? Is this clear? Do you understand
Yeah.
the role of Brahman and Maya?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Brahman does not act, does not cause action also. It does not participate, and nor is it affected by any action. Okay, if war is going on, light doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel good also. It doesn't get affected in any way whatsoever. And the war cannot kill light. It cannot even touch light. It is beyond participation, right? But without light, can a war happen? It is difficult. Better example is space. Without space, can war happen? Without space, there cannot even be existence. So how can there be even war? Right? So this is the relationship between Brahman and Maya. Maya cannot exist without Brahman. Brahman cannot act without Maya. Okay. So now there are some different names and features for Maya. Some more are there taken from some other texts and other scriptures. So I'll just briefly give you some more of them. Okay. So some you can call them as features of Maya. One of the features, the first one is called Avyaktam. Another name for Maya is also called Avyaktam. Now, whenever we talk about, where have we heard this word Avyaktam? First, let me ask that. Where have we heard Avyaktam before?
When you were explaining what is
Karana
not
Sharira.
Atma in
Karana Shariram.
yeah.
Yes. So we have heard the word Avyaktam in Karana Shariram. Now, this Maya, Avyakta Maya and Karana Shariram are actually not different. They are the same. And in fact, if you go through Viveka Chudamani, you will see that Shankaracharya does not even talk about Karana Shariram. When the topic comes for Karana Shariram, he finishes Sthula Sukshma, and then you're expecting Karana Shariram, but he directly starts talking about Maya. Now, is Shankaracharya confused? Did he forget that in the previous class we had done Sukshma, now we're supposed to start Karana? Did he forget what chapter we are on and jumped ahead? Or is there a different explanation? So, it is because Maya and Karana Shariram are actually the same. Why are they the same? This Avyakta Maya and Karana Shariram, one word answer. Why are they the same?
Both are energy unmanifested.
They are unmanifest, but why must they be same? Why does Shankaracharya skip over Karana Shariram altogether and directly start talking about Maya? It is because they are same. Okay, agreed. But why? One word answer. We have done this actually.
Potential for
Individual and samashti. Maya is samashti and Karana Shariram individual.
Okay. No? Do you remember the word nirvikalpaka? Karana Shariram topic nirvikalpaka. Okay, revision is necessary. Go back and revise Karana Shariram topic, another homework for next week. Karana Shariram and Maya are not different at the Avyakta level. Okay.
You have given the words for Karan Shariram. It is Maya and it is Anatma, Mithya,
Yes.
and
Avidya.
Yeah. So
Moola.
synonyms you had given us to.
Yes. So it is because this Maya, Avyakta Maya and Karana Shariram are not actually different. Both are in actually the same. Why? Because Nirvikalpaka Rupa, undifferentiated form. In the Avyakta state, everything is non-differentiated, right? Like the seed of the tree. In the seed state, there are no individual leaves. Even if you break the seed and look inside, you will not find different leaves, right? So they are said to be in non-differentiated state, nirvikalpaka rupa. So in this avyakta avastha, in this unmanifest state, there is no my karana shariram, your karana shariram, somebody else's karana shariram. All this is not there. The potential is there, but they are not clearly differentiated, like the seed and the leaves of the tree. You cannot find individual leaves inside the seed, right? In the same way, you cannot find individual Karana Sharirams when we are talking about Avyakta Maya. For all intents and purposes, the individuality of Karana Shariram is only relevant when we are talking about the manifest world. And so that is why Shankaracharya does not even talk about Karana Shariram. Directly, he starts talking about Avyakta Maya. Okay, so they are not actually different. So one more name or definition for this Maya is called Avyaktam, and it is unmanifest, non-differentiated. Okay, the next feature, second feature you can take of Maya is Shakti. Shakti means power. Maya has two kinds of power. They are called Avarna Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. The veiling power and the projecting power. So Maya has that capacity to make this one Brahman appear like many different forms and entities. What we call Namarupa, it is because of Maya. It appears as though I am different from you, different from somebody else, different from a dog, an elephant, all these things. They all appear different things, right? So this is the projecting power of Maya to make the world appear in this way. And at the same time, despite this appearance, what happens? It has a veiling power. It is, what do you say? It veils the fact that you are Brahman. It hides the fact that you are Brahman. So you forget Satyam. So you confuse Sat for Asat and Asat for Sat. There is a exchange of ideas. So you feel that this body is me and what you are, you have forgotten. The existence from Atma you have superimposed on body, and the impermanence of body you have superimposed on Atma. And in this way, there is a confusion, a conflict, right? And this is in fact the root cause, what we call as the root cause of all our problems. The insecurity, the restlessness, feeling that I am limited, I am defective, I have so many problems. All these things are because of this veiling power of Maya. It hides Sat from you. It makes you forget that you are Sat itself. And instead you start believing I am the
Meghaji,
Namarupa. Yes.
but why we like that The Avarana Shakti should be there. If it's an intelligent creation, it should not be there.
The creation is intelligent, but this is the nature of the creation also. It has two powers, and both powers come into play. But remember that this veiling is just another false entity. That is the nature of the creation. Along with the projecting, it also does the veiling. And so that is Shakti. Okay, two kinds of Shaktis are there. That is one more feature of Maya. Another feature of Maya is called avidya. Now this avidya is a technical term. The word avidya means swataha na vidyate iti avidya. That which has no independent existence of its own is called avidya. And another condition is there for avidya is that it must be negated by vidya. Avidya is something that can be negated by vidya. Vidya means knowledge, correct knowledge. So 2 points are there. It has no independent existence and it must be negated by correct knowledge. So, you know, the famous example of the snake and the rope. You're walking on a dim lit road and then you see something on the road and you think it's a snake. For one moment, there's a lot of panic. There's a lot of fear, right? And then on closer appearance or closer inspection, you realize this is not a snake, it is just a rope. So what happened is that the snake, which is a false entity, was projected onto the rope, which made you forget the original nature of the rope. Okay. And how does this snakeness go away? Only when you realize it is a rope. So only through correct knowledge. So this is avidya. The snake has no independent existence, right? It is dependent on the rope for its existence. And on top of that, it is negated by vidya. The moment you get the correct knowledge, the snake vanishes. The snake is no longer there. What remains there is only a rope. Now, another important thing to remember is that this negation can only happen to false entities. Okay, if really a snake comes and you say there is no snake, that will not work. But in the case of rope and snake, their snake is a false entity. So you can negate it with knowledge. Now, in the same way, this whole Maya is a false entity. And that is why with correct knowledge, with jnanam, it is negated. Brahman is the you can say the substance of creation, the very matter of creation. Maya is insubstantial. It is a false entity. It is just nama rupa. So snake and rope is a small example, but that example you have to apply to the whole world and realize that the whole world is like that false snake, false entity. Okay, and that is why when correct knowledge comes, it can be intellectually negated. So Maya is avidya. It is not independently existent. And second, it is negated by vidya. Then this Maya is also anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means it cannot be logically categorized in any way. Okay, for the mind to understand anything, for the intellect to understand anything, it must be divided and categorized. But with Maya, that is not at all possible. It is beyond logical categorization. Okay, so to give you an example of this, what is Maya? There is obviously, I'm sure Many of you are already confused. What exactly is this Maya thing? And many people in this Maya class, usually frequently the question comes up. So can we say Maya is a part of Brahman? And the answer is no. You cannot say Maya is a part of Brahman. Why?
Because
Because it is changing.
Maya is
Changing.
dependent. Maya is dependent on Brahman, whereas Brahman can exist on its own.
Okay.
Because Maya is changing in nature.
Okay, let's take it differently. Is Brahman divisible? Can you say this is Brahman, this much is
No.
Sat, and this much is Chit, and this much is Maya, and this much is... Can you do that with Brahman?
No.
No.
No. So nothing can ever be a part of Brahman. Because Brahman cannot be divided into parts in that way, ever. Okay. It is like saying, is the table a part of wood? Is that a very accurate statement? Can you say is the table a part of wood?
No.
No.
Table is made
No.
of wood.
Yeah.
You cannot
Table
really
is
say
a part of wood. Yeah.
table is a part of wood, that you take that entity, which you call a
Yeah,
table, and then
we
that
can say.
tableness, is that a part of wood?
No, it is made up of.
If it is a part of the wood, then I will say, you keep the wood, give me the table. Can you do that?
No, it cannot exist without wood.
But Medhaji, when you say Maya is dependently arising, right? So it has to be arising from somewhere.
I didn't say arising, I said dependently existent.
Okay.
There is
Sorry.
no arising for Maya. It is already there.
So Maya is either either that comes from Brahman, or I mean, where does it actually sit? Or I don't know from how does it?
Where does it sit on? Can the table sit on wood?
So that, but then we also can say that Maya is Brahman.
Yes.
But again,
if it is the same as Brahman, why does it have why have I made two tables? I can say they are same, make one table. Na? It has different features.
Yeah, it's
Okay, so-
definitely a tricky way to, I mean, yeah, to understand this, it might take a long time, but yeah.
Okay, so we can conclusively say Maya is not a part of Brahman. It cannot be said to be a part of Brahman, right? Because Brahman, first of all, cannot be made into partitions like that. And secondly, it's not possible to say, is Maya a part of Brahman? It's like saying, is the table a part of wood? It is not a very accurate thing. So then can you say Maya is separate or different from Brahman?
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
Because it cannot exist without Brahman.
Another, another logical argument.
But Medha, you said that they are dependent upon each other, so they cannot
I
be
didn't
part
say
of
they are
each other.
dependent upon each other. That is a wrong statement. Why is that a
Maya
wrong
is
statement?
dependent on
Maya is
Brahman.
dependent, but not Brahman.
Brahman is not dependent. Brahman is independent. Only Maya is dependent. But why can they not be separate? Why is Maya not different from Brahman? What happens? What is wrong with the statement saying that Maya is different from Brahman?
But then if Maya is not there, how can we know about Brahman?
Maya,
That
one
is
is
a different
Avyakta
line.
and
Just...
one is Vyakta.
No, no, no.
No.
Maya is Mithya.
Maya evolves.
The moment
Is Maya a reflection of Brahman?
Okay.
And
The
There's
moment
one
you
thing
say,
that is really common between Maya and Brahman is they both are beginningless.
that is okay, but why can they not be separate or different from each other? See, the moment
because
you say,
Maya is a reflection of Brahman, and that's why it has to be there. I mean,
No,
it's
Maya is not a reflection of Brahman. So be careful with your words.
That's Atma.
It's like you cannot differentiate dancing potential from a dancer. So you can't separate
There is
Maya
another,
from Brahman.
that is correct, but there is another very strong logical argument about why not just Maya, nothing can be separate from Brahman or different from Brahman. What
Because
happens
Brahman is a very much the existence of everything behind
other than
Maya.
that reason? The moment you say something is separate from Brahman, what happens to
Infinite.
limitless status of Brahman?
Infinity.
Correct.
If when you say infinite, when you say limitless, it is all inclusive of everything, right? Can there be anything outside this infinity? The moment you say there is something outside this infinity, that thing is not infinity anymore. It is limited by that separateness, no? When you say
Maya,
infinity or limitless, it has to
Maya,
include everything. So it is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, all omnis that you can think of, it is that. So you cannot say Maya is different from Brahman. The moment you say different, it means Brahman is not infinite anymore. So that is a logical flaw in that statement. So Maya cannot be a part of Brahman, nor is it different from Brahman. Now are you struggling to understand what is Maya?
Meghadaji, could you give us an example in terms of a body and say a human being? Say a human being is Brahman, and Maya is the mind that makes the human being perform certain things.
Yes, I will give that example. I was supposed to give it, but now we have run out of time. So I'll give it in the next class.
Okay.
Because that is another elaborate example. But right now, I just want to make you understand that Maya is not a part of Brahman, nor is it different from Brahman. Both those statements are not correct. So finally, this Maya is beyond any kind of logical categorization. You cannot put it in this category nor in another category. This we will see more of in the next class. We're going to look at Maya in Shankaracharya's own words from Viveka Chudamani. So we're going to see a verse about Maya from there. And then you will understand a little more about Maya. So using logic, you will prove that Maya is quite illogical. And you will understand that Maya cannot be understood. Okay, so that is the nature of Maya. So we will see that in the next class. Now we have actually, exceeded the time also. And I think it was a heavy class. So do some more mananam on this. Please go through this class recording again so that you prepare for next week. That will be another heavy topic and class. And if any doubts, we can discuss next class. Okay. We have not finished, and if you have not understood, don't worry. It takes time, and Maya is not something that you understand like this anyway. It takes a lot of time. Okay, so we will finish with the prayers. Om. Purnamada
Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Shri
Gurubhyo Namaha
Harihi Om.
Hari Om.
Om Tat Sat. Okay.
Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Om Tat
Megha.
Sat.
Thank you.
If any questions, you can post them on the group or we can discuss in next class. Okay. So please do mananam on this very important topic and takes time to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.